Alright, welcome back to another video. It's August 13 today, and we're going to be feeding cows. We're going to be doing night feeding, morning feeding. It's very similar to night feeding, except there's a couple more loads of feed. We have to feed the heifer barn. So, we're here in the cow yard. I got 2350 here. We're going to clean out the feed bunk. You can see there's some leftover TMR in here. We call that refusals. That's food that the milk cows didn't eat over the past day. I'm gonna go ahead and get it all cleaned out so we can put fresh TMR in there. It won't go to waste. It'll get fed to the far off dry cows and pregnant heifers. They'll eat it. It's still good feed, it just isn't as fresh, and when the feed's fresh, the cows give more milk. So there really won't be a lot here, probably enough to finish filling this bucket. There's a little bit of corn silage left in this bucket too, but that's fine, they'll get that as well. Alright, so we're dumping in haylage right now. I'll show you what it looks like to mix a load of TMR on load number 2. But yeah, what I wanted to show you is this feed bunk out here. So, you can see it's all cleaned out. We're going to put feed back in here. But what we have going on is an elevator that feeds the conveyor. So the TMR cart will pull up on the far side of the bunk and feed in to the elevator. But we need the elevator to be out of the way during the day while the cows eat, so the cows don't do anything to it, and to maximize bunk space, because it's probably a good 20 feet there that we'd lose if the elevator was down. So we have it hooked to a vent, holds it up. I'm gonna work on this a little bit tonight, because you can see the cable is actually caught on the elevator. You can see how the elevator is actually a little bowed from it. I'm gonna work on that tonight, hopefully, if I have time. But what I am gonna do is lower it down. There you go. There's the elevator lowered down. Next thing is we need power to it. We've never hooked up anything permanent. We're really just running it off a big extension cord. It works really well, so I've never done anything differently. So we run the extension cord above the door and out to the bunk feeder on a plug. So I'm gonna hook that up. Alright, there you go. You can see we're dumping it out, up the elevator, and down the conveyor. So here's our TMR. It's our total mixed ration. That's what TMR stands for. That's what makes the milk happen, right there. Yeah. The blend of corn silage in there, which is just corn, the whole plant chopped up. Haylage, which is hay, chopped up, blown in the silo. Some molasses in there to get some sugars and other nutrients, along with blended grain ration supplied by a feed mill. Anyway, I'm going to show you all that. load number 1 of 3 is empty. So we're mixing 5 loads a day for milk cows. Mixer is 92.5 cubic feet. Yeah, it comes 75 cubic feet from the factory, but we're running extensions on top of the mixer to make it a little bigger. Anyway, let's go grab another load of feed. Alright, the first ingredient to go in this load of feed is 132 kilos of grain. See, this is our grain. It's a mixture of a lot of different stuff. It comes from the feed mill. So yeah, there you go. So, my dad's a dairy nutritionist. My dad actually formulates her own rations for what the cows eat. Everything is balanced. So yeah, he does that. That's his off-farm job. So he does it for quite a few different herds, but he also does ours. So yeah, it's a blend of different grains. Fill in a lot of different nutrients. You can get milk off this silage and corn silage, but if you want lots of milk and the cows to produce well with high butter fat and all that, you gotta supplement it with grain. So that's why we're dumping so much grain in here. Yeah, it goes pretty quick. You can see there's only about 20 kilos left. There you go, that's all the grain we need. Alright, the next ingredient is silage. We're doing 88 kilos out of this 18 by 75 tower silo. So it'll dump in pretty quick. So, yeah, we're blending silage from 2 different silos right now. 18 by 75 and a 16 by 65. See this silo here? It's got a brand new wench put on it. It's a yellow jacket. So yeah, they're becoming quite popular. They're Canadian made. They're made around an hour away from where we live. So they're cheaper than some of the stuff that comes out of the States and very well made. So this is a yellow jacket wench. This one's an agri-metal, which is the same as Velmatel. These two are basically the same thing. It's made by 2 different companies. One's Canadian made, the other's American made. Yeah. So there you go. Our halages and tower silos for the summer. During the winter, this is our silage silo, and that is our corn silage silo. But for the summer, we're using 2 silos, just because this is kind of our heifer and milk cow silo, and this is a milk cow silo. We're just kind of feeding enough out of here to keep it fresh. So I'm gonna turn the mixer on, start mixing up the silage. So this is a dual screw mixer, which means there's 2 screws in here, mixing up the feed. But there you go. Just amazing feed quality coming out of this silo too. I'll grab a handful of it for you. Pretty dry, which is also one of the reasons why we're blending silage from 2 different silos. The moisture, the TMR altogether is alright. The corn silage is pretty wet because it's TMR, brown midrib corn silage. Show you that after. But there you go, mixing it up. Alright, the next ingredient we're putting in, 18 kilograms of molasses. So the molasses comes out of those 2 spouts there, and it kind of just trickles into the TMR cart. I put it in between the 2 silage silos, because the feed out of this one and then this silo will line up on an angle, so the molasses can slowly keep dripping in. Yeah. There you go. So the molasses is a great way to get a lot of vitamins and sugars into the TMR. That's why we feed it. Next ingredient is 104 kilograms of haylage out of the smaller silo. So yeah, you can see here, got the TMR cart parked so the molasses can kind of slowly keep dripping in. There you can see, slowly keeps on running in. So yeah, our molasses tank, it's actually over here. See, there it is. And yeah, those are our two silos, and the bulk bin we were pulling feed out of is around the corner of the barn over there. Going in 208 kilograms of brown midrib corn silage, or BMR. So this stuff sits in an ag bag. See, there you go. So stuff's really good corn silage. The only trade-off with it is less yield per acre, but it's worth it to us for what we do. We're more strapped for the amount of cows we can milk in our barn than the amount of acres we have to grow feed on. So, yeah. The bucket on this tractor is 7 feet. So the bucket is just a little bit bigger than the mixer. See it kind of trickle over the side there. But what I have found is if I can pull up to the mixer on a bit of an angle, then I'll spill less. Oh yeah. We're gonna run to the egg bag because it looks like we need another 120 kilograms of corn silage. Yeah, that's the bin that we're pulling our grain out of. That won't stick around for forever pulling out of that bin. The bin's not going anywhere, but we put up a bigger bin. So we're gonna start feeding out of that as soon as the electrical is hooked up. We've been waiting for a little bit. Yeah. Bag. There was 2 of them earlier this year. We finished the one and now we're feeding out of the next. So we're mixing feed for 68 cows. That's how many we're milking right now. Each TMR mixer load holds enough for 14. And get a nice big bucket. It's good enough anymore, and it just kind of spills out all over the yard. I did rip a small hole in the bottom of the ag bag on Sunday morning, so we're still kind of dealing with that. But it's not really a big deal. You just have to work around it. kilograms. Try and be really, really picky about how much corn silage we get in. So I'll take the extra time every chance I get to get right on zero. So there you go. Now we're just gonna let it mix. Yeah. Rev it up all the way. So you can't see the screws anymore, but they're in there mixing it up. I believe at max RPM, the TMR turns each of those screws 47 turns a minute or something like that. So yeah, just let it mix for a minute or two, and we'll dump it in the bunk. So yeah, you can see there is room in the mixer for a little more. Not too long ago, we were mixing 4 loads a day, and then the mixer was heaping full. I really don't like to see the mixer that full, because then it overflows, and you just can't do a good job mixing TMR. So that's why we feed 5 loads a day. So, yeah. Well, the TMR dumps out. Generally what I do during one of the loads is I like to walk over to this tip tank here. I did already tip it out, but the odd time I'll come and I'll tip it out. You can see there is some stuff in here, all that. So we just go ahead and dump it out so the cows can get fresh water. There you go. I try and do it twice a day just because of how many cows we have drinking out of here. So, yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's an alright sized bunk. It is a little bit of a squeeze to get all the cows to fit in around it. The odd time what I'll actually end up doing is I'll fork some TMR over to each end. But yeah, I'm pretty sure each of these bunk sections is around 10 feet, and we have, well, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So we're looking at about 70 feet or so on one side, so 140 feet. But yeah, all the cows come out at once, and they all want to eat at once. So we are a little tight there, but it does work fine. There's always TMR for them to eat. And there you go. Another empty load. Time to refill for the next one. Hardest part about feeding cows is getting up this ramp right here. Pothole there in the ramp. There's another small ramp here, but it's not a big deal. No, I'm gonna set you guys up and you can watch TMR cart climb it. There you go. Last load of TMR going in the bunk. So, yeah, the goal is that by tomorrow the bunk won't be cleaned out, and then tomorrow morning we'll dump 2 more loads in, and then in the afternoon there'll just be a little bit left, just enough that we can kind of scoop it all up, put it in the bucket. Yeah. Don't really like to see the milk cows not have any feed, even if it's only for just a little bit. But taking 5 loads a day, it's a little more work than 4, but it is worth it. You can see Mom and Dad have let out a couple of cows now. Those are all the box stall cows. So yeah, Mom and Dad milk while I feed. There you go. That's our homemade bunk feeder setup. So we've done this a lot of different ways over the years, but this is just what's worked the best so far. Get the mixer cleaned out really well, because we're going to start mixing TMR for the heifer barn. Okay, run number 2 of the ramp. The first run is always easier, the first load up, and then the second's a little harder, but the third, and so on and so forth, you just get a little harder because the ramp gets a little slippery, or a little more slippery every time. There you go. Now if the phone will stay. Dumping in haylage again, this time for the heifer barn. So our 12 to 18 month breeding pen, it's the first pen we're doing. Yeah, get started on any of them, they all have to be fed. I just started with this one because it needs a lot of haylage. 13 in that pen, so 280 kilograms of haylage. About 280 kilos of haylage. Dumping in some mineral now. Just 2 kilos, that's all we need. And 78 kilograms of corn silage. Dump it out. a year old. Mixer's pretty quick. Goes around 10 kilometers an hour, something like that. Alright, so we're gonna start off the mix for the little calves. There's 15 of them in that group. So yeah, we're starting off with 30 kilos of corn silage. So not a lot, but the difference between them and the breeding pen is that the breeding pen doesn't get any grain, but the little calves do in the TMR. So, yeah. Alright, next up, 24 kilograms of pellets, same as what's in here. It's the grain the little calves in the heifer barn are getting. Auger's a lot slower than the straight auger because it's a flex auger, but we also pull a whole lot less feed out of this bin per day than the other one, so got time. Alright, 172 kilograms of haylage now. So these calves get fed once a day. Yeah, there you go. If you're wondering where I get all these numbers from, these are the sheets we get, so I can adjust for how many calves in a group, or cows. Yeah, they're all in these papers here. Take them off. They're all in papers, you can see. There's 2 in each one. So this is for the calves and the heifers. Far off dry cows and bred heifers. We aren't feeding this group tonight because they're getting the feed refusals from the rest, but they do have a ration that they can get if there are no feed refusals. Closeup cow program, we are going to feed that load of feed tonight. And then, man, I'm dropping them all. Then, milk cows. We have one with 4 loads a day, one with 5. I don't think I'm ever going to go back to 4 loads a day with the number of cows we're milking right now. If we milk less, maybe I go back to 4, but yeah. Either 4 heaping loads or 5 loads that fit nicely. There you go. That's how I know how many to feed for. They're all in these sheets here too. That can get wet. When it pours rain, I'm still outside feeding cows. There you go. Last thing to go in. It's a wee little bit of mineral. Every group gets the same mineral, more or less, depending on what they need. See, really don't need a lot. Some groups need more than others. Yeah. But this group here, quite a few ingredients. The corn silage and the grain is pretty well supplemented, so it doesn't really need mineral. There you go. There you go. There's the far off dry cows. Close up dry cows. Breeding pen. The furthest pen, the one that this load goes to. Open up the door. So yeah, the last little bit from every pen, I ended up scraping over to the close-up, or past the close-up cows and to the far-off cows. time for the most important load of feed for the night. Closeup cows. We got Rosalind and Morgan in this pen. Those two cows are both due this month. The calves. So, I feed close-up cows every other day. I would like to feed them every day, and when there's a lot of cows in the pen, I'll feed them every day. But the problem with this too is that the numbers are very small. Like, you'll be getting into 2 kilogram and 4 kilograms of stuff. So I feed them every 2 days so that the number isn't as small for the smaller ingredients, but they do get quite a bit of corn silage, 60 kilos worth. So, yeah. The con to feeding them every 2 days is that the feed may start to heat a little bit by the second day. In the winter, it's not as big of a deal, but during the summer it will happen. But the corn silage, we picked a special kind of inoculant on it that slows down the heating process too. Yeah, corn silage is the biggest ingredient, so that kind of helps the TMR stay fresh. So 36 kilograms of haylage. Yeah, you can see there's not a lot in the mixer, so when there's more in the mixer, it mixes feed better too. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. Mix every 2 days, but I think it has its benefits. If we can mix the feed a little bit better, that can be more accurate. You can see with 2 cows, we'd only be putting in 2 kilograms of molasses and 4 kilograms of dairy supplement, along with like 100 grams of mineral. But 4, you can just see how the numbers kind of go up. It's a little more easy to be precise with that. That's why we do it. So, 4 kilograms of molasses. That is pretty hard to get. I like it a lot better when we have more cows to do. Once we kind of start getting into 4 cows in a close-up pen, I'll feed them daily, but when there's only 2, I'll do it every other day. Yeah, kind of hard. Gotta make a compromise when there isn't a lot, but quite often there's more than 2 cows in a close-up pen. Just right now, we've had a lot of fresh cows calve out. That's just how it worked out. So there's only 2 cows due in the next 14 days. So we keep our dry cow pellets in this bin. We get it in bulk, save a little bit of money that way. But yeah, we only need 8 kilograms, so this pail should be pretty close to what we need. There you go. All of the feed they have left over there. There you go. This is all the feed refusals from the milk cows and the rest of the heifer barn. It's all still great feed. It's older than a day old. So put it in this pen and it'll all be eaten up by tomorrow. But yeah, it's all still perfectly fine feed, but this is the group that we let eat it. They can go out and pasture, or they can eat all this TMR. So, yeah. There's our 2 close-up cows, Rosalind and Morgan. Here's our breeding pen. You just see the difference in color TMR. Same here. These are little calves. Once again, it's hard to see with the camera, but 2 different shades of TMR. Just because of what's in it. So, this heifer over here, she's Reese. She was Rosalind's last calf. I gave you TMR, don't chew on the chain. red and whites, I tell ya, they are special. As you can see, we have quite a few of them. There you go, there's all the milk cows eating at the bunk. So yeah, it's night feeding. Took 2 hours to do all that. But yeah, there you go. Alright, so feeding's done, obviously. Showed you that. We're back at the barn. Much later now. All the cows have finished eating. There are still some by the feed bunk there eating. So yeah, it's around an hour and a half later since I quit feeding cows for the night. Dad let cows out about maybe half an hour before I finished feeding this last group here. So yeah, there you go. Feed's all pushed up and they're all happy. So that's feeding cows. So there's a couple of questions at this point. One of them's gonna be, why don't we have a bigger mixer? Kind of the biggest one that'll fit in our barn. Around the back corners of the barn is where we're limited now. We've changed things a lot over the years. So yeah, we're making a lot of loads of TMR now in a day. Feeding for close to 3 or 4 hours. Another question will probably be, we used to feed bales in the heifer barn. We're going to be getting back to that this winter. Just because we don't have enough feed storage. I guess we could have maybe put baleage into egg bags with haylage, but that just wasn't really something we were too keen on doing. So we didn't do that. So, yeah. So, find there's some benefits with feeding TMR in the heifer barn. You can see here the heifers are they're pretty good condition. They're maybe on the little more of the heavy side, but they're growing well. There's little to no ringworm in the heifer barn now because they're getting fed a whole lot better through TMR. Yeah, there's no calves in the heifer barn with ringworm. Looks good. The other thing is we're actually saving a little bit on grain. We're buying a little less grain. So we're feeding corn silage. So we used to come in here and we'd feed about 4 or 5 gallon pails of grain a day. A 5 gallon pail is around 10 to 15 kilograms, a little closer to 10. So we'd feed around 80 kilograms a day, or grain a day. So we'd feed 2 5 gallon pails to each pen. Now tonight, you saw, we fed around 24 kilograms of grain between these 2 pens. This far pen isn't getting any grain because they're getting the grain in the corn silage. Yeah, then there's mineral in there, the haylage. So we're saving a little bit of money there. This pen's getting less because, yeah, there's grain in the corn silage again. So we're saving a little bit of money there, but we are spending more money on wear and tear on our TMR cart. That is a downside because, yeah, we're putting way more hours on it now. Feeding only used to take probably 2 hours a day, and now we're up to 4. A little closer to 3, 3.5. But yeah, that is a downside. But we have done close-up cow TMR quite often. So in the summer, we used to feed Closeup cows TMR, and then these 3 pens here would be getting baleage. Baleage isn't getting any cheaper either. Bale of baleage, if it's heavy, probably weigh 1,000 kilograms. And it costs $11 or $12 to get one baled, and then it costs $11 to wrap. So we're looking at $22 to make a bale of baleage, so $22 a ton. So that's pretty expensive. We can do it a little cheaper, running that feed through a tower silo and through a TMR mixer. So it's a little bit of cost, and it's a little bit of, the heifers do a lot better on TMR. So yeah, they're growing well. You see here, even in a close-up pen, Morgan over there, pretty well grown. So yeah, to me, there's just a lot of benefits. That's why we're doing it. And yeah, a lot less competition too in the heifer barn when they have feed all day, because they're getting everything they need to eat anytime they go to eat the TMR. Before, when we dump grain twice a day, they'd all have to come and eat. And in this breeding pen, it works out fine. There's 13 calves for 13 head gates. They'd all fit in this little pen. There's 18 head gates, but there's 15 calves. So there are still more calves than head gates, but you can kind of see how they like to stagger themselves out. So then they'd be a little more crammed trying to eat grain. Versus now, when everything they need is in that TMR, it's not an issue. So yeah, we still haven't filled the pen full because now the calves are a lot bigger. They're growing a lot quicker. So yeah, if I could, I'd like to go TMR year round. We would have a little bit of an issue though, probably in the winter. The ice and snow trying to get in and out of the barn with the TMR cart with that ramp. So that's another reason why we're going back to baleage in the fall and for the winter, but it works. So yeah, that's why we're doing what we're doing. But that is our feeding cow setup for this summer. It will change a little bit. Yeah, we're going to be feeding out of a different bin soon, a bigger bin, so we don't have to get bulk feed as often. But we're waiting on an electrician to finish hooking that up. So yeah, but yeah, TMR to me, I really like it. A bigger TMR mixer would be nice for the milk cows, but I wouldn't want to do it for the heifer barn here. It's because we can kind of specialize and save a little bit of money there, because each pen is now getting their own ration. Versus if we had a TMR mixer twice the size, I'd probably feel like it's a little bit of a waste of time to mix 2 different batches, and I just feed one. At one point we did have these 2 pens combined on 1 load of feed, but I'd feed them twice a day. So to feed each pen once a day, their own separate thing, we make less of a compromise on, and we kind of gear it more towards what we like for each one and what each pen needs. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. But yeah, you know, we've always gave the milk cows TMR. We've been TMR for 24 years now. And we've had haylage in the TMR for 18 years now. So before then we were dry hay and corn silage, but in 2006 Mom and Dad put up a haylage silo. But there you go. Anyway, that's all I got for this video. I know it's probably on the longer side of things, and I did a lot of talking in this video for you guys. Tried to make a little bit of something for everyone. If you guys like this video, that, you know, if you're new to things, you kind of get what TMR is, and then if you know all about it, you can kind of see why we've kind of changed a little bit, why we're doing what we're doing. So, yeah. Anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thank you very much for watching.